All right, folks. Chumash and Rashi, welcome.
Good morning. Mazel tov
Good
on your
morning.
new grandson.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mazel tov.
Thank you. Last night I was able to go and visit him. Baruch Hashem, mother and son are doing well.
Amazing.
Yeah. Okay. We're on YouTube. Yeah. Okay. Let's go straight to the Parsha. Parsha's Balak. For the third reading, we continue with the narrative of Bilam, the non-Jewish prophet, has been hired by Balak, the king of Moab, to come and curse the Jews. So the story unfolds. Vayakam Bilam. Bilam got up, Babaker, in the morning. Vayachvish is Sinai, and he saddled his she donkey, female donkey. And he went together with the dignitaries of Moab. So Rashi picks up on the words the fact that he saddled his own donkey, right? Which is an unusual thing for an important person, right? So Rashi picks up on the that he saddled his donkey. Mikan, from here we learn that hatred, which he had hatred towards the Jews, causes a person from going off the straight and narrow. The way he translates from here is standard conduct. What does that mean? Because he saddled his own donkey, as opposed to important people have others that do their work for them. They don't saddle your own donkey. That's wouldn't be the common thing. God said, Rasha Kfar Kodmach, Avram Avinu, wicked one. Let's say, wicked one, referring to Balaam, right? There's always someone who preceded you, and his name is Avram, our father. Shenemar, as it says, V'yashkim Avram Babaker, he also got up early in the morning, and he saddled his own donkey, right? So we already have a precedent to this. And there he did it also. Here it's hatred that causes a breakdown in standard conduct. And there was love for God that also caused the breakdown of standard conduct. In other words, he saddled his own donkey rather than his servants. But there was out of love, here it's out of hatred. Okay. Im Sarei Maya, with. So Rashi picks up the with, the word with over here. In other words, Levi ki libam shava. In other words, they were together with each other in hatred, with the evil intent. 22. Yichar afel game. Yichar means anger, and af, the Yichar af, the two words together will make up anger. Elokim ki hoilechu, because he is going. He's going. Right? B'yisyatzib. So he placed, he stood up, he placed there, he stationed, okay, an angel of God in the way, to thwart him. It's interesting, the word Satan, which means Satan, is one who's thwarting you from the path of God. Who Rechib Alei, he is riding on his donkey, which they not Avima, and two servants are with him. Rashi. So God is angry. He's going. He saw that this is obviously something God, that this is evil in God's eyes. He didn't want him to do this, but that's what makes him an evil prophet, right? A prophet he is, but evil he is. Why? Because he is going on his own path. That's what makes him evil. If prophecy is he got a power from God, and that's an important point over here. There are many people who have power and great power, prophetic power, and because of that, we think that they must be special and beloved. No, not at all. As we learned earlier, God does that in order that a person should have that power, that the nations of the world should have someone who could bring them on the right path, which they don't in the end, because they just use it for their own power. They use it for their own agenda. As you see, every single politician, that's what they do. Not that they're prophetic, the politicians, but if they were, that's what it would be. So anyways, L'satan la to thwart him. Malach shel rachamim. This was actually an angel of compassion. Because so it's interesting. It's to thwart him from his own evil ways, and therefore it's an angel of compassion that wanted to prevent him from sinning. That he shouldn't sin and be destroyed. The Yoivad, and he would be yeah. And two servants were with him. Khan, from here we learn that an important person that goes on a journey. He should have two people that go with him to serve him. Says in that way they can attend one to the other. In other words, an important person should just have one, he should have two. Why? Because if one needs to relieve himself or one has to attend to certain things, there's another one that still remains with this important person. Right? So it's interesting. He's still an important person, right? He's just an evil, important person, which is, when you think about it, it's quite something, teaching us is that you have people in the world. They're important people, but that doesn't, because they're important, doesn't make them anything good. Okay. Gabriel also is Malach Hashem. Guess what? This donkey saw the angel of God, Nitzav B'derach, that was standing in the path. And the angel, this angel of compassion, of mercy, had a drawn sword in his hand, right? The angel had. Beteta also minaderach. As a result, the donkey turned from the side of the road. Then went on the field. Bilam didn't see this, as we'll see soon. So what did Bilam do? He hit the donkey in order to get it back onto the path. Rashi. And as Rashi said, the donkey saw, but just like animals have a much more greater sense of smell, a greater sense of sight and whatnot. So so here, vision and vision, right? So he didn't see. Because God gave the permission for an animal to be able to see things that a human can't see. Why is that? Interesting. Because a human has intelligence, has intelligent das. Das is awareness and self-awareness and awareness of consequence, of meaning, and so on. An animal doesn't have it in this manner. And therefore, and then if you see these destructive forces, that would be a very overwhelming for the individual. So God allows the animal to see that which human can't. and the sword is drawn in his hand. So God said, this wicked person, right? So it's interesting, not exactly clear, like who's God speaking to over here? Maybe he's just speaking to us, Well, I'm not certain. Maybe we'll see Rashi and it'll become clearer. Because this whole story is interesting. Jewish people don't know anything about this story at the time, right? Like Moshe doesn't know from this. He's not privy to what's going on over here. I mean, perhaps in prophecy, but this is part of the Torah, and God is, telling the story to Moshe. In any case, but question is now. So God says, Rosh is this evil one. And also he put aside his own skills, right? Shiklis and Shalom Sa'ilam, because what is the non-Jewish skill set is a weapon, right? A sword, right? They live by the sword. And he's coming to the Jewish people with his mouth, which is the Jewish skill set. It's the Jewish quality that we have, right? Of using our mouth in prayer and the like. Right. So you know what I'm going to do? He's grabbing the Jewish way. I'm going to grab his way, right? Meaning the nations of the world their way. And I'm going to come against him, but when I'll say with his skill. So it's interesting, even though that's not what his skill set is. His is the mouth to curse, right? But since he's part of the nations of the world, and that's what they're about might and power, right? So I'll come against him with their might and power. And Seifa, and in the end, that's actually what happened, as we will read later on in a couple of parshas, as Bilam ben Baor harga bechered, that he was actually killed by the sword. Not in this story, but later in the battle with the Midianites. Yeah, the Amid Malach Hashem stood there, the angel of God, B'mishol Hakrami, by the path of the vineyards. Godem his head. There was a wall from this side, the Godem his head, and a wall from the other side. Right. Rashi, Mishael Ketargumai. Rashi, Onkelos translates Bishvil. A shvil means a path. וכן אם ישפך עפר שהמלא שאולים, עפר ניבא מקפס ורגליים להילוכה, וכן נלמד בשאול המים, ורגלה בהילוכה. So just giving examples where we see that the word Mishael means a pathway, right? God is Sosim God Shalavanim, who it's a wall on each side that is made up of stones. Okay, Betira Osin Malach Hashem. And the goat, I'm not the goat, the donkey saw the angel of God. The Tilchat Sakir. And right, the donkey is like blocking the way. So the donkey then pressed against the kir, the wall. The Tilchat is Regal Bilam. And he pressed the leg of Bilam against the wall, the lakir. So he continued to beat her. Rashi Tilchatz, he atzma, she pressed herself. In other words, not that the angel did, because of seeing the angel, the donkey did it herself. Tilchatz is sacherim regal bila, and she pressed something else, meaning he's explaining us here. There's tilachetz, he pressed herself, but tilchatz pressed something else, which means bilam. So it's the exact same word, different vowels on the bottom. It just makes it either doing it yourself or causing something else to be pressed. Okay. Malach Hashem avur And the angel of God passed further and stood in a narrow place. There's no room to go right or left. Now there's nowhere to go. Right? This is the third time now. Yes, if Malach Hashem Abor, so continued the angel of God passing. So to pass further ahead of him. In order to go in front of him elsewhere. So I think meaning to go in front of try to get in a pass in front of the angel. I couldn't do that. Midrash Gada, Gada the explanation, meaning not the simple meaning. Yesh ben Tanchuma is explained in the Midrash called Tanchuma. Mara lame l'shloshim l'kaimis simane avos hero. So why did the angel choose to stand in three places? So this showed Bilam a symbolic representation of the three patriarchs, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Okay. Second. Hiras and it's Malach Hashem. And the donkey saw the donkey. That's literal, in order of the words. It's Malach Hashem, the angel of God, but here bats Pachas Bilam. And now he crouched down under Bilam, went down. Bilam, and it was angry Bilam, Yach, and he hit his also B'makno. He hit the donkey with his stick. Now, so till now, I guess it was just natural kind of way of things. And now, Yiftach Hashem is piasim, and God opened up the mouth of the donkey, the tamer, and she said, Lebilam to Bilam, Salah, what did I do to you? That you now hit me 3 times. So Rashi picks up on the word regolim, which means legs. Also means, but in the context here, it means times. Right. Rashi says this 3 times. Rem is lie. He hinted to him because the usual word for times is pa'am. Pa'am is time. Pa'am means times. Right? Regalim is not the usual word, so Rashi picks up on it and says that this is hinting you're trying to uproot a nation that celebrates 3 holidays a year, 3 festivals, making a pilgrimage. Yeah. That's okay. Right, that's what you're doing. Second. Sorry, give me a second. Okay. So yeah, this is what he says to Bilam. Yeah, but Yom Bilam last saying. So okay, so it's unusual. Well, I mean, a donkey doesn't usually speak, right? Um, and he speaks, but he's not fazed by it. But Yom Bilam responds to the donkey. Lawson it says to the okay, excuse me. He just allowed me. You have humiliated. So he's answering why now he hit him 3 times. Hit her 3 times. He's allowed to be. Look, because you mocked me by doing what you did. Remember that he's not seeing the angel, right? So he's just responding to this comment without knowing that there was an angel. We'll see in a moment that he will be privy to it. If it were not that I had a sword in my hand, I would have killed you now. I would have killed you. Interesting, would have killed the donkeys when you're traveling with them. It's going to get you to where you need to go, and you're going to kill it. But yes, in anger. Salty Gumar Kitar Guma Lushan Genai Bizayan. So the word is halal is ridicule and degradation. He Lu Yesh Yad, if it were not, if I had a sword in my hand. The news Gedela Hayale Lavazebe sorry. He was only going with 2 people. Oh, no, he was going with 2 servants, but he was going with all the dignitaries, and so he was very much embarrassed. He's going to destroy an entire nation with his mouth. But for this donkey, he needs a weapon in order to, keep it in line. Pretty embarrassing. Right, but Tamer also and Bilam so responded now the donkey to Bilam, am I not your donkey? That you are ridden upon me from since, meaning from the beginning, until this very day. Asking us, to put you in this if I put you into this kind of situation, my accustomed to do this to you till now. But he had to be honest, and he said, no, you haven't. Rashi in 30. Haskein Askanti. So Onkelos Targumai translates it, if I ever accustomed, right? And it's similar to Kel Iskin Gever. Does a man learn for God? So that's a simple meaning. Meaning, have I ever accustomed to do this? Like, is this my natural way? So the sages, though, they expound upon it. Mikra the Talmud. This verse in the Talmud, my time says, why did you not ride a horse? Why are you going with a donkey? And so he said to them, I left it out to pasture. These are the Zora. Oh, not clear what that was meant to mean. Okay. Not clear on that. What does that mean? Okay. Now, in verse 31, the Yigal, and he opened Hashem as the eyes of Bilam, the Yar, and what did he see? Is Malach Hashem, the angel of God. Nitza B'der, standing in the path, the Harbe Shalufa, and he has a sword drawn, B'yada in his hand, the angel. So he And he got off the donkey and bowed, and prostrated himself to his face. 32. Love, and he said to him, Balak Hashem, the angel of God, said to him, to Bilam, why did you beat your donkey 3 times? I have come out to thwart you, because you've hastened to journey on against me, against me. Rashi, so Rabbi Zaino, our sages, the Chachmei Mishnah, from the sages of the Mishnah, right? The Mishnah is the first teachings of the oral tradition, written by Judah the Prince, Yehuda Nasi, Darshu and Noitrikon. They expounded as an acronym. In other words, Yarat, Yud Reish Tes, is an acronym. Yira, Rasa, Nasa. Yara, that the donkey was afraid. Rasa, it saw. Nasa, and it turned aside. All right. Kaloimer. In other words, to say, in case lakni tani. Okay. Can read this properly? Because you went against me, Kleimer, that is to say, like in the Yesiva like that you wanted to anger me, to provoke me. So that is like that the word yarat, not a usual word that we have. So our sages say that's an acronym. Why Rashi brings that as a simple meaning, I don't know. When there is a simple meaning, or the literal meaning of it is mashma they were shaking on the path against me. Lashon ratad, and this is an abbreviated verse. In other words, it's not. It's saying that you hasten, to against me. I don't know why he says that it is an abbreviated verse. In other words, not fully explaining the verse. David, Lishna, no yaret lashon ratzin, and asher shai yareteni, ba'ez menachem, ba'yisrael yedei l'shai she'enan ela. So the idea of a third explanation is just that meaning to provoke. Okay. Okay. Rani, 1 second. Okay. The Tirani also. So when the donkey saw me, the funny and it turned aside these three times. So if she wouldn't have turned aside before me, I would have also killed you now and spared her. Rashi, ulai, lule. The word ulai means, had it not been, sometimes um, sometimes it means perhaps, sometimes it means if not, had it not. This is a you I would have killed, so this is an inverted verse, he says. That I would have killed you. Kalaimar. Thank you. Oh, get a l'chaim over here.
Amen.
Okay. Um, Kalaimar. Hakva Bilbat Karasi Yadi Nigam Hariga. Others, you wouldn't have been just delayed, I would have killed you. Yeah, not exactly. Oh, that's what means also. They also not only be delayed, but I would kill you too. The angel is saying, right? And I would have spared her. But now that it spoke up and rebuked you, and you were below Yechalta, and you were not able to stand up to the rebuke. As the verse says, because what does it say? I would have killed you, right? Right? So he said to the donkey, I would have killed you, right? So that people would not say that this is the one that proved Bilam with its rebuke was able to respond. No, I'm sorry. I've killed the donkey now. Sorry. I killed her. Sorry. So why would he kill the donkey? That this was that Bilam was not able to respond to the rebuke. She's not able to respond. Wow. God was concerned for human dignity. Of an evil person of his dignity. Is a isha, is a behema. Similar reason applies when animal used for bestiality must kill the animal. Aha. Lachain is a behema. Like, what has the animal got to do with this, right? Because it's a disgrace. Human dignity, bestiality. So therefore the animal also gets killed. Wow, very interesting. Actually fascinating. Malach Hashem, and Bilam said to the angel of God, Hatasi, I've sinned. Below Yadaiti, because I did not know. Ki ata nitzav lekrasi baderach, because I didn't know that you were standing to you know, like before me to greet me on the path. Ata now. If it's evil in your eyes, I will return. In other words, I see that God doesn't want me to go do this. So if that's the case, I'll return. Let's see. I didn't know. Gam Nusay. This is also he's forced to admit it's an embarrassment for him. That he was compelled to admit because he would he would glorify himself that he knows the heavenly the heaven, the mind of heaven, right? He knows what's going on in heaven. Das Elyon. And now his mouth comes out and he says clearly, I didn't know. Remember, he's with the dignitaries from Moab, right? So it's all an embarrassing thing. If this is evil to you or displeases you, I will go back. So lahasris neged hamakom hu tshuvazu is using this argument actually to challenge God. Amalei he himself told me I should go. God, right? When he came to him and told him to go. Then you, the angel, are coming to nullify his word, right? Lamud hu bikach she'emer davar or malach machzirei. This is God's way, right? Like he's making fun over here, right? This is God's way. He says something and then he sends an angel to take back. Like, he fickled. Avram, we see that by Abraham, he did the same thing. Kachas bincha. He told the take your son, bring him as an offering. Malach. But what happened? That's what God told him. And then through the angel, the angel wasn't God that came to tell him not to slaughter his son, right? Angel came and told him and was nullified his word. I canceled what he said. And afani. So, if this is displeasing in your eyes, and I'll return. But it's kind of like making light of God, if you will. He's the fickled one, and and he's accustomed to being that way. Hashem, the angel of God said, now Bilam to Bilam, Lech, go. Iman Nashim with these men. The Ephesus a davar, but not a word, Asher daber, that I will speak Elecha, that I sorry, Es daber Asher daber. But the word that I will speak Elecha to you, daber, that's what you shall speak. Yeah, the Bilam started movement. And Bilam went with the dignitaries of Balak. Rashi. Go with them. So why? Why should he? If this is displeasing. So the interesting point that Rashi brings out here. But the path that a person wants to take, that's the path that God is going to let them go on. He's going to lead them there. This is what you want. You want to go on the evil path. Okay. Even what he made his argument to Shai return was a backhanded, admittance Go with them. Because your portion is with them. And in the end, you're going to be destroyed from the world. Yeah, destroyed with them ultimately. Ephes, but only it's a davar against your will. The word that I speak, that's what you need to say. I'm sorry, Balak. So he went with them. He was happy to curse the Jews as they were. That's what it means. He went together with them, meaning not just, you know, literally they went physically, but in the desire to curse the Jews. Yishma Balak Bilam. And he heard Balak, the king of Moab, right? That Bilam had come, he hates the cross, and he went to greet him. El Moab, to the city of Moab. Asher al Gvul Arnoi, which is on the border of Arnoi, the river Arnoi. If you remember, it comes out of the Jordan, if I recall. Asher, we could say Gvul, which is at the edge of the border. Yishma Balak. What does it mean he heard Balak? Shalach Shluchim, because Bilam had sent messengers of Basra to inform him that he had arrived. El Ir Moab, to the city of Moab, Zeh Metropolim Shaloi. This was its metropolis, its major city. Ir Chashuva Shaloi, its important city. Loimar Re'ei Ma Ela Mibakshim Lakra. Now there's come and see what these Israelites want to uproot, want to destroy, right? The Yomer Balak il Bilam. And Balak said to Bilam, Halay shalay shalachti elecha. Nikra loch, lama lay halachti elai, amnam lay uchal kabdecha. That's why he says, Balak says to Bilam, already, making his whatever. Didn't I send for you to why didn't you come to me? Am I not able to honor you? Establish a sefer that says, so he's asking us a question, but remember, there's no punctuation in the Torah, right? So Rashi says that I'm incapable of honoring you. In other words, unwittingly, really, he's prophesying to say that ultimately he wouldn't be able to honor him, and he's going to depart in disgrace, right? In other words, I'm incapable of honoring you, right? You're going to leave in disgrace. For Bilam and Balak, and Bilam responded to Balak. Why Rashi says that, I'm not certain, because why not, simple meaning. Bilam says to Balak. So the prophet is saying to the king, right? Behold, I've come to you. Ata now. Yuchal daber meuma. Capable of speaking nothing. Adavar asher yosim. The word that will be placed, Elohim, that God will place bifi in my mouth. I say that's what I will speak. Amazing. Okay, we got Tanya coming up in a few moments. Okay, we will see in a few moments. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, what's going on here? Doesn't want to stop. No. What's going on here?